Hello everyone, my name is Curtis. Today I'm doing a review for Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 17, Episode 3. The episode began with K. Michelle inside of the hospital, so if you all remember, she was getting ready to do a performance. She was sitting down waiting for her set. She's laughing, joking, having a good time with the people there, but once she stood up, she realized that the couch that she was sitting on was soaking wet, so she decided to go to the hospital. And when she went to the hospital, she found out that a wound, so she actually had surgery before, but the wound had opened and she was leaking fluid. So it wasn't blood, but it was some type of fluid. And then she found out that she had some infected tissue that needed to get it out. So we see in this episode she did have a surgery to get it out, and it took about 2 hours. Within the surgery, they were able to take out some infected tissue, but they were not able to take out the silicone. So when it comes to the silicone, she lets us know that that's going to be in her body forever. So she did go out, she got illegal butt shots, and so she did have the surgery to get rid of that. But unfortunately, that silicone is going to be in there forever. So that's something that she's going to have to live with for the rest of her life. K. Michelle says, regardless of what's going on, regardless of what's happening, she has to continue moving forward. She cannot be stagnant. She cannot be in a situation where she's just constantly thinking about the silicone situation. She has to think about something positive, like her family, like her friends, like her career. She can't just sit around and be stagnant. And while I do agree with that, I do think that maybe she could have took a couple of days off, because it seems like she had a surgery, then she just immediately went to shoot the scenes when it comes to the show, which I understand this is her job, but maybe she could have took maybe 2 or 3 days just to make sure everything was good. But hey, she got to make this money, so I get it. But side note, I do have a question about K. Michelle when it comes to the show. How are you all feeling about her so far? So I do like her. I do like her music. I definitely like her personality. She's funny as hell. But when it comes to this cast, do you feel like she is blending in? Do you feel like she fits within the group? Or do you feel like she kind of stands out a little bit? Because when I look at her on this show, at this point, I know it's only been 3 episodes, but it kind of reminds me of when she went on to Love and Hip Hop New York. You remember when she first went on there? She was funny, she had a lot of personality, but she just did not really fit into the group like that. That's kind of how it feels at this moment. It's like she's kind of there, but she's not really there. So I'm just hoping as time goes on, she gets intertwined into the group a little bit more, because I just kind of feel like she's kind of disconnected. What do you all think? In the next scene, we see Drew, we see Angela, we see Angela's daughter. And so Angela lets us know that her and her daughter are currently in a situation where they are trying to reconnect. So if you all remember, her daughter did get married in secret, did not tell Angela. Of course, that caused a lot of drama within that family. And so right now they're just trying to get it back together, at least until she goes back to college. In regards to Drew, she lets us know that she is working more than she normally does, because while she does love music, music doesn't pay the bills, acting does. Like, people know her from acting, and so that's what she needs to do to make this money. And so with her acting more, she has to travel a lot, and so it's causing issues between her and her kids, mostly with her daughter. Her son, he may be going through it, but he's not going to show it because, he wants to be a man, right, at a young age. But when it comes to the little girl, of course, she's full of emotions, and she doesn't want her mom to leave all of the time, but I mean, she has to do what she has to do. And then also when it comes to Ralph, I mean, he lives in the basement, so she can always go down there and chill with him. And side note, since I'm talking about Ralph, did you all see that Ralph makes over $71,000 a month? Let me say it again for those in the back. He makes over $71,000 a month. Not within a quarter, not within 6 months, not within a year, $71,000 within a month. What the fuck does he do? They say that he works in technology. What exactly does he do in technology? And also, can I get a job application? Can I get a loan? Can I get a grant? Like, what the hell? And then I saw that he was actually asking Drew for child support. He makes $71,000. She makes about 12 grand a month, which, I mean, that's a lot of money, especially to me. But when you compare it to 71,000, what do you mean you want child support? That man is crazy. All right, back to the main point. So Drew and Angela are still having a conversation. Angela tells Drew that she completely understands where she's coming from, because she definitely needs to be home more, but she has to go out, do her thing when it comes to real estate. And so Drew, she was a little bit shady. She said, Angela, she lost all of her houses, lost all of her money, which Angela, she does own up to. And so Angela does tell us that she actually lost $2 million. I was like, dang, that's a lot of money. But I mean, she is married to Charles. Charles, he is an NBA legend. I'm pretty sure he saved his money. And then also, they have other businesses going on. But $2 million? Goodness gracious. And so now she's working on another house, trying to rehab it, so that way she can flip it, she can sell it. Hopefully this one works out better than the other ones, because I don't want her to have another losing season. Angela decides to pivot because, like I stated in the last review, if it's one thing these ATL ladies know how to do is keep a storyline moving, and so she does bring up Black. So Drew says, when it comes to Black, he's really just my friend. Like, yeah, we may do some things over the phone, but it's nothing too serious, nothing too deep. But he is coming into town, and we are going to go on a little date. And so she kind of downplays it, like it's just us just meeting up as friends. But Angela was like, look, this man is coming into town because he wants to fuck you, and you're going to let him. So just be honest. Like, we get that you're going through a divorce, but you already said that Ralph was out here doing things that he shouldn't be doing. And so at this point, it is what it is. Like, just fuck the man. I mean, you probably already fucking him, so you ain't got to lie, Drew. After this, we see Portia, we see Cynthia, we see Phaedra, we see K. Michelle. And I do want to speak about Phaedra really quickly. So, did you all notice that she was in the scene? We saw her mouth moving, but we didn't actually hear her talk. And so, I'm just trying to figure out why is she a full-time cast member? Because it doesn't seem like she has her own individual storyline. I get that she's important to the group and that she's going to play a part in the group dynamic and the group storyline. But when it comes to her as an individual, it just doesn't seem like she has enough going on to be a full time cast member. So, how do you all feel? Like, do you feel like she should be a full time cast member? Or should she be kind of like Sheree in season 8 and just be a friend of? What do you think? All right, back to the main note. So when it comes to this scene, I just want to focus on one part. So K. Michelle, she explained to them, what was going on. She was like, I stood up, the couch was soaking wet, I was rushed to the hospital. And Portia was like, oh my God, was it a miscarriage? Kay was like, no, silly, it wasn't a miscarriage. And so she laughed it off and made it seem like it wasn't that big of a deal. But it definitely did piss her off because in the last episode, she mentioned that she was having issues with getting pregnant. She expressed this to Portia. She told her, like, she wants to have another baby. And so, with her bringing up this miscarriage, also the fact that she said that she had a conversation with Portia and she had already explained it. And so, she felt like she was just kind of being funny all the way around. This really did piss her off. But I'm just trying to figure out, like, was she being shady? Because, Portia has been known. Let me not say she has been known. All of the ladies on the show are shady. That's the reason why they're on the cast, right? Otherwise, why would they be on the show? And so they all had their shady moments, but I'm not sure if Portia was really trying to be shady in that moment. Maybe she just honestly forgot. But at the same time, I guess it wasn't really that long in between the time that they spoke, so I'm not really sure. Do you all think she was being shady? Let me know in the comments. After this, we see Shamia, we see Gerald, we see their kids. And so when it comes to Gerald, I finally see why he is not on camera a lot. Gerald is one of those straight to the point, matter of fact, I said what the fuck I said, I ain't got time to be bullshitting with you. That doesn't necessarily work that well on camera. I know Charles is kind of similar, but see, Charles has personality and he's kind of funny, so it kind of lands well. But when it comes to Gerald, he's so matter of fact and to the point that I think it rubs people the wrong way, so I think it's best that he is not on camera a lot. Shamia lets him know that she went to Grenada and she's pretty much all in when it comes to this rum deal. He really does not give a fuck. He feels like this is like one of those little hobbies that she just picked up. Because at this point, Gerald, he is rich. He has so much money. Like, anything that she does is not going to equate to anything that he's doing. And so it really doesn't make a difference. It's just like, if it makes you happy, fine. But if the shit fails, it's okay because I have money. I don't really get why you're doing this in the first place, but it is what it is. And that's why I'm saying, like, his personality just, it's not really good for TV because it comes across as if he's like mean, that he's an asshole, and as he doesn't care about his wife. And so that's why I'm saying, let's keep Gerald away from the cameras. Now, when it comes to the rum, Shamia wants to have a bottle in the shape of her ass. And then when it comes to the flavor, she wants it to be peach flavor so it could represent Atlanta, Georgia. When it comes to the people in Grenada, they're like, well, unfortunately, peaches do not grow naturally in Grenada. So that's going to be a little bit of issue. She was like, well, can't we just import it? I was like, we can, but that's going to cost a lot of money. And then when you're traveling, you got to get it checked out. So that's just going to be a lot. And then when it comes to overall expenses, it's turning out that it's going to be a little bit more expensive than she thought. And so she's not really sure she's going to make a profit. So she's like, you know what? Let me just think about it and I want to give you all a call back. So she said she was all in before, but it looks like she's having some doubts. In the next scene, we see Pinky. She meets with an attorney, and she says that she's thinking about filing bankruptcy. And the reason why is because she was a personal guarantor when she originally had her business. And this basically means that she is personally responsible for paying off a debt if somebody was a default. And as we know, she found herself $20 million in debt. And she feels like the only way to move forward is to file the bankruptcy. It doesn't mean that she is broke. It's just something that she needs to do in order to move forward. We then found out that after she bought her company back, she actually got sued. And so one of the suits was about showing a pay-per-view fight. Apparently she did not have permission. And then also there's a lawsuit about her not having her liquor license. And I was confused about that. So I was just trying to figure out like, okay, did somebody get into like an accident or an incident and they filed a suit because of it? Or are they saying that the city is suing her for not having her liquor license? I wasn't really sure about that part. If you all can clarify it in the comments, I would really appreciate it. But she's in a situation now where she's having these lawsuits. She's trying to get rid of this debt. And so it's just best that she just files bankruptcy at this point, just to just have a clear mind, clear space, and just not have to worry about it. After this, we see K. Michelle, Cynthia, and Pinky. And y'all, this is the third time that we have seen K. Michelle, so she is clearly not going to sit down. She says, of course, she has to keep it moving. She can't just be stagnant. You know, she has to get out there, do her thing. She has to make money. And I get it, but I just want her to be as safe as possible. I don't want to hear anything about her leaking again. I don't want to hear anything about her having to have surgery. I just want her to be in a clear state of mind. I want her to have positive energy around her. And I don't want to hear anything negative happening to her because she's rushing to do things. That's all. It's during this time that we found out that after Kim Michelle had the conversation with the ladies where she was talking about what happened to her, she sent out a series of tweets. And one of the tweets, she called somebody a bimbo. And so when it comes to the ladies, they're all trying to figure out like who exactly she's talking about. Who is she calling a bimbo? And they're trying to like do the process of elimination. But we all know that she's talking about Portia. Portia doesn't know this right now, but we as the audience, we know that. And so she tells Cynthia what happened. Like, you know, I was explaining to her that I was leaking fluids and I had to go to the hospital. And then she was like, were you having a miscarriage? And so Cynthia was like, wait, what? So K. Michelle was like, yeah, like she knows what I'm going through when it comes to infertility. She knows I'm trying to have another baby. Like, why would you even bring that up? Especially when I already told you what was going on. So Cynthia, you know, she was trying to give Portia the benefit of the doubt. She's like, look, Portia, she could be a little shady, but in this moment, maybe she did not understand the severity of the situation, which I don't really know how you can't understand the severity if somebody was rushed to the hospital because they were leaking fluids from an open wound and they had to have emergency surgery. I feel like that's something that requires a lot of attention, a lot of, you know, you should definitely be paying attention to understand the severity. So I don't know about that part, Cynthia, but maybe it's just a situation where she just genuinely forgot and just, I don't really know. But after all of that, Cynthia's like, look, she definitely owes you an apology. You definitely need to have a conversation with her. And once you explain everything to her, I'm pretty sure she will understand and she's definitely going to apologize. K. Michelle decides to pivot and she brings up Phaedra and the fact that Phaedra is always laughing and giggling. So we do see a flashback to when they did meet up, you know, getting their nails and feet done. And then we saw Phaedra laughing. And this is what I mean when I say I'm not sure why she's a full-time cast member. Because in the scene, we did not hear her talk. We just saw her mouth moving. And then in this flashback, we saw her laughing and giggling. So I'm just trying to figure out what is her individual storyline going to be. I get that we are only a couple of episodes in. There are more episodes coming up. But right now, it just seems like she's giving like friend of vibes. I just hope that she gives us more as the season goes along. And when I say more, I mean her own individual updated storyline, not any old outdated storyline from back in the day, aka Apollo. I don't want to hear shit about Apollo. I need something fresh and something new from her. So hopefully, as the season goes along, we get something really good from her because right now, it's giving friend of. K. Michelle said that she can't trust a lawyer, who is Phaedra, who doesn't practice law. And then Pinky says she can't trust a lawyer that eats dead people. And I was confused about this part. I was confused when I did my trailer review. I talked about it there as well. But I'm like, where is she getting this eat dead people part? Because when they showed the flashback, and maybe I just didn't hear it, I thought Phaedra just said that she ate meat. So I'm not really sure what the whole she eats dead people thing came from. I need clarification about that. But something that's very important to note about this part, since Pinky is there, she did tell him, of course, about the bankruptcy, but she did say that she did not actually tell her husband about it. I was like, that is quite interesting because remember last week he said that he humbles her, right? And so it is quite interesting that she decided not to let him know what happened. But something else that was funny is they decided to do a little prayer. And Pinky said that she wanted to pray for Phaedra's wigs. And I was like, this is going to be quite interesting. So are these two going to go back and forth later down the line on the season? I'm looking forward to it if so, because Pinky looks like she can handle herself. After this, we see Drew and Black meet at a restaurant, and I just want to talk about one thing within the scene. So the two of them, they were talking, they were having a conversation, right? And so during this conversation, Black mentioned that he bought gifts for Drew's kids. And I was so confused by this part because I'm like, why are you buying this lady's kids gifts? Like, listen, I get that you two may be like dating on the low, doing some things on the phone or whatever, but why are you buying her kids gifts? Like, she's still technically married to Ralph. Yes, they are getting a divorce. Yes, it is taking a long time, but she is still married. He does still live in the house. Like, why are you buying her kids gifts? Like, have you met the kids? Like, do you know them personally? How personally do you know them? Like, when did you meet them? Because remember, they were saying that you two were dealing with each other before they even got divorced. So this is kind of like one of those timeline situations. Like, why are you so comfortable giving her kids gifts? Like, I thought that was weird. I thought that was strange. I was like, what is this? Like, Drew, you got some explaining to do. In the next scene, we see Angela, we see her daughter. They go to a property that Angela's getting ready to close on. It is important to note that while Charles does know that she is getting ready to buy this property, he has not actually seen the property. And we find out that this was basically like an emotional purchase. So Angela, she lost her mother, unfortunately, right? And so also she lost the houses, she lost the money. And so she just pretty much needs one win when it comes to real estate. So she bought this property in hopes that she can flip it and she can make some money. She said even if she makes $1, that's fine. She just needs one win. And you know what? I'm here for it, Angela. I am. But when it comes to, flipping houses, renovating stuff, that costs a lot of money. And then also when you're dealing with contractors, that's stressful. They don't want to get the proper permits. They be catching attitudes. They want to charge different prices. Like, you got to be really careful, especially in Atlanta. I heard there are a lot of scammers out there. So it's a lot that you have to deal with, but hopefully she is successful in flipping this property. After this, we see Pinky and her husband, and so she explains to us that her and her husband actually almost got divorced after the first year. They actually went down to the courthouse, but once they got there, they looked at each other and they realized, like, okay, maybe we need to calm down, maybe we need to relax, it's not that serious. And so they were able to work everything out, which is great, even though he does say that he likes to humble her, which I didn't mention in the last review. I just kind of let it go, but as I thought about it, I'm like, that was a weird comment to make. I'm not sure why he decided to do that. I mean, I guess she says she's a really tough woman, a strong woman, so I guess he has to be macho and make sure that she knows that he's the man of the house or whatever, but it was a comment that he could have left alone. It's during the scene that Pinky lets him know that she has a couple of pending lawsuits against her, and she says that it's draining, it's taxing, it's a lot. He says, I really would like to be there for you, be your main support system, but you like to do everything on your own. She tells him that while she does appreciate the fact that he wants to be a support system, this does not really have anything to do with him. This is her business. She got herself in a situation, so therefore he needs to focus on the successes of his business and worry less about what's going on with her. And I did not feel like she was being rude or disrespectful in that moment. She was just being honest. She got herself in a situation, so she's going to figure out a way to get herself out. In the last scene, we see K. Michelle, we see Portia. They do meet up to have a conversation, and so we do find out that Portia sent K. Michelle a text, but K. Michelle did not respond. And she says, I did not respond because I was upset. Portia was like, why are you upset? So she says, look, you and I had a conversation prior to us all meeting up, and I told you about my surgery. I told you what happened. But when we ended up meeting up, you asked me about a miscarriage. Like, why would you do that? Portia was like, well, I mean, you told me that you were leaking fluid, so I wasn't really sure what was going on. Like, I assumed it was a miscarriage. She was like, why would you assume that? She was like, because I've had miscarriages before. I woke up in pools of blood before, so I just assumed that's what it was. K. Michelle was like, but how can you assume that it was a miscarriage when I had already explained to you what was going on? And then this is when K. Michelle admits, after that situation, I decided to send out a bunch of tweets. I know that in the South, a lot of people like to say bitches and hoes, but I like to say bimbo. So Portia's like, oh, wait, so you were talking about me? K. Michelle was like, yes, I was referring to you because I felt disrespected. When I met up with you and the other ladies, I thought I was entering into a safe space. Portia was like, it wasn't a safe space. She was like, no, it wasn't because I felt uncomfortable. It wasn't safe. And so Portia could see that this was getting ready to escalate. So she's like, you know what? Let me just apologize to her real quick. So Portia was just like, look, I apologize. I'm sorry. When you mentioned that you were leaking fluids, I just automatically assumed that you were referring to a miscarriage because I have experienced those. And so I just thought that's what you were talking about. I know we had a conversation before, but I honestly forgot. But regardless of that, I do apologize. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Please accept my apology. And so K. Michelle goes into the confessionals and she's like, I'm not really sure how I feel about Portia because we had a conversation and she knew exactly what was going on. She also knows that I want another baby. and she knows that I'm kind of struggling right now to have a baby. And so the fact that she would bring up that miscarriage, it just showed me another side of her, and I'm not sure how I'm going to proceed forward with her. And that was the end of the episode. Thank you all so much for watching. Really do appreciate it. If you could, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. It would be great. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye.